For many years, Ray had his suspicions that not all was quite right with the audio he was receiving from clients. He found that using monophiles vastly improved the sound of his mastering, and that using stereo interleaved, he was just chasing shadows.
Looks like we've been doing this wrong for years. I've been constantly doing my bounces and even delivering to you as stereo mixes that way. Mm-hmm. When is this? Is this a recent thing, or is this something you've been?
I think it's something I had a suspicion about until, I don't know, a few months ago. We just had the opportunity that we happened to have complete session files on a project I was working on, and we opened up the stereo files, and just out of pure interest at that point in time, we thought, I wonder what the non-interleaved sounded like, and we opened it up, and myself and the producer thought, wow, that's a bit different. And we checked out different systems, and we checked out the results of what things sounded like between interleaved and non-interleaved. And so far, for me, consistently, the non-interleaved files sound better. They sound broader, they've got more detail, a lot more stereo image to them. They sound much better.
So I want to go back the last 10 years and bring all the records again from mastering all again.
Fine, if you can afford it.
Yeah, well, let's not do that then.
You're losing detail. You're losing something in the stereo, in the dynamics, in the scale of the music and the recording. And I don't know what's causing that problem. You can only be meticulous and listen very carefully and be distrusting really of anything that's digital, because it's not always that, just because it's digital, it's not always right. Mm-hmm. You really must double check that every time you do a mix or you make up a different kind of file, always compare it back and meticulously compare and make sure that it's not doing any damage.
I suppose the best way of doing that is importing the file back into the session and then A-Bing it that way.
Possibly. There's certainly, I think for most people that would be the only way in which they'd be able to do it. But I suppose arguably you'd also use independent systems to be able to compare, but we haven't all got that.
It's frustrating because you spend all that time on a mix, getting your mix just right, then to find that you're losing detail, whatever it may be, in the bounce pre-master. I mean, that's so from now on the stereo interleaved is out the window until they fix that, and independent left and rights. Yeah,
it's just definitely the easiest way. You're adding another step and another process, so why do something unnecessarily? I mean, the only thing for doing a stereo WAV is that it was convenience. That sometimes people don't line up the non-interleaved files accurately, and you'll get phasing problems. But if you're delivering to a professional mastering house, then that shouldn't be an issue. And all right, it adds maybe another 5 or 10 minutes to a session, if that, just to make sure that everything is calibrated and lined up properly.
Well, I mean, if the WAVs have been zeroed properly, and I mean, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
No, it shouldn't be a problem.
How do people future-proof their mixes?
Okay, if you're future-proofing your mixes for future reissues, then you've got to look past the limitation of the CD that we've got at the moment.
Which is what?
16-bit 44.1.
Of course.
Whereas the new HD formats allow you to go, I think, up to 192, 24-bit, and probably 5.1.
And you can hear the difference so clearly.
You can hear definitely hear a difference. And so it depends what you want to deliver to the mastering house, because in the future, if you want to capitalise on the quality of the download files, which will be superior to a CD, arguably superior anyway to a CD, we'll hopefully prove those in the next few months. But those files should sound superior to a CD. So to do that, you need to start mixing and or recording at a higher resolution than the 16-bit 44.1. So it could be anything from 96K, 192, could be anything.
96 is where we're sitting with DVDs at the moment, isn't it? The soundtrack to DVDs is usually set at 96.
Well, that 48K, a lot of them.
Really? Yeah, so you've been wasting my time on this 96 24-bit, but it's good for future reference, though.
Yeah.
I can't make the point how important it is to have your things professionally mastered, because it really does make all the difference to the record at the end of it to achieve what you've got in your head. You can get your mix so far, but is there anything, there are these bits of software out there like Isotope and T-Rax and those type of softwares out there that daisy chain certain compressors, limiters and EQs together. Any tips that you could give these people?
It's like anything else. You've got to learn to apply any process, whether it's a digital process or an analog process or whatever. They're all going to have their individual qualities and sound. When we master a record here, we're going to be listening to the tonality that it may be that a compressor or an EQ gives. It's not just a matter of saying, oh, I can add 2 dB at 10K and it gives me brightness. But what kind of brightness does that give it? Is it sweetness, or is it smooth? Is it an aggressive top? There's so much more to that, and I don't think you can always make those decisions with plugins. They're all a bit, there's some excellent plugins out there, and you can get some really, really good results.
It's not all analog here, is it? You've got certain things.
Both, mixture of analog and digital, and it's a matter of being able to pick out the right processor to do the right job. And we may try 2 or 3 until we find the qualities that we need. I've
even seen outside in the machine room the number of extra bits of kit that you've got out there. If you're specifically looking for another sound, you can go in and try that, bring that in.
Oh yeah.
This is like kid in a sweet shop for me. So in a mastering session, how do we get the best out of it?
If you've never done a mastering session before, you've got to find an engineer which is sympathetic to kind of music you're doing, has obviously the right kind of equipment for what you want to do, and you've got to be able to communicate to the engineer what you want out of your music and what you expect it to sound like. And hopefully that engineer will give you good input and good ideas and constructive ideas as well. It's also important to deliver the right kind of format to the mastering engineer. Some people still mix in analog onto analog tape. I suppose most of what we get in nowadays comes in as files from whether it's Pro Tools or Cubase or whatever. We may get different kinds of file formats coming in. We still get the occasional DAT, and that's about it nowadays. That's what it's mainly delivered to us.
So are there any particular file types that you prefer when it's coming in a digital file?
Just the highest res possible. I have a preference for non-interleaved files because I think they sound better than a stereo interleaved file.
Right.
Other than that, no. The only other thing is a lot of people do, unfortunately, use a lot of limiting compression at the back end. They'll often put a peak limiter at the back end because they think it's the right place to put the level up. It's actually not the best place. It's give us that room. Once you've done that damage, we can't undo that damage. So unless it's there for a good musical reason, it's better to let us do that because it gives us scope and it makes the tracks more pliable for what we need to do.
So what have we learnt from our visit to Air Mastering? Stereo interleaved is out. For less loss of quality in your bounce, mono left and right are where it's at. If you have the power to future-proof, do it. The future, they say, waits for no one. So record at 24-bit and no less than 96 kHz. That in all aspects of production, preparation will deliver you from all evil. Make sure your files are clean and delivered as your mastering house have requested. Usually 44.1 at 24-bit.